What is going on, y'all? Today we are in Arvada, Colorado, checking out the warehouse here just outside of Denver. First impression, yikes. There's a million ways to get to this location, but only one way to get into the parking lot, and it's a little bit crazy. You're stuck at like a billion lights, a billion different left turn lanes. One lane gets you into this parking lot, and then there's a separate lane that gets you into a very tiny, very backed up gas station. When there's heavy crowds here, the line for gas can actually back up onto like a main road and create a gigantic mess. The parking lot seems actually a little bit small for a Costco parking lot. There are some like secret areas around the back that nobody's gonna go to. At least there's double line spaces. If these spaces were single lined, I might have just turned around and not gone in, because this is, I don't know. I'm reserving judgment. You guys know I've been to warehouses before where the parking lot is crap and the inside is nice. I do see a tire center here. There's no liquor store at this location. I'll show you the gas station. You have to walk all the way across a super crowded parking lot to get there, so it's not really ideal, but we'll get in here and check it out as soon as we can. Arvada, Colorado coming at you. So here's a look at this just awful 12 pump small gas station. Look at the craziness here. Look at the backup. Even if by some miracle everybody has their membership cards out and ready to go, it's still going to be a long wait. And look at how close this backup is to being on the main road. I mean, one good rush of traffic and we're looking at some serious overflow here. And somehow that's not even the worst way to enter this gas station. You can get here through the typical parking lot, but it means you're going to be waiting in a line to use the pump closest to my vantage point right now. So you're going to be sitting in the longest line, and I really don't think that's worth it. Tire Center has the traditional 4 bays, does look pretty crowded here. It's got its own reserved parking area and 2 nitrogen filling stations. So after I make the quarter-mile walk away from the gas station, I come up on the main entrance here, and I see we've only got 2 traditional sliding doors and 2 garage bays, and that is max capacity. That is very, very concerning. We're in a crowded spot. We're right off I-70. This warehouse is easy to get to, and I'm not seeing any signs that this can handle even the slightest crowds. So yeah, I've got a bad feeling about this one. Nevertheless, I begin my initial approach with an open mind, and as I braced for impact, I was actually able to take a breath when I got in. It was not as bad as I was initially expecting. A pretty calm initial approach. I'm getting around the corner, I've got my head on a swivel, and it's not looking so bad to start. Reminder, there's no liquor stores in the Colorado location, so there's some beer out in the open here. But it's really the wine. I've got a sneaking suspicion where it is. I just really hope I'm wrong. But other than that, initial approach is going pretty well. I did notice an inflatable kayak. That's pretty cool. We're in Colorado, very active community, so something local. Although it did have the Death Star on it, so by the time you're watching this, it might already be gone. But as I begin my secondary approach, I look up ahead beyond the close, and unfortunately I see one of the biggest red flags I think you can see at a Costco: produce in the middle right here. That tells me something is going to be off with this layout. The warehouse is going to be really tight, and something in this left-hand corner, the space is not going to be utilized well, and what do you know? Unfortunately, I was right about where the wine is in this warehouse. It's taking up all this space. That's typically where the produce goes. But why this is so concerning to me, why I've got such a problem with it, is look how few people are here. I know Costco must make a bunch of money off of the alcohol sales, but this is prime real estate for traffic flow, and there's nobody here, and I can already see the writing on the wall. It's gonna push everybody in towards the middle, and it's gonna be a problem. But anyway, I swing around to the back wall, I'm bracing for impact, and okay, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was really expecting the worst, but you know what? I'm going to pause right here for a chicken check. Chicken check-in, y'all. Arvada, Colorado. Not as bad as I was originally expecting. If I was going by the parking lot, I would have thought I was walking into one of the worst experiences I've had, but this is okay. This level of crowds is very, average. There's definitely people here, but the warehouse is tight. I usually look up when a warehouse was opened after I leave, but I can already tell this is 90s or maybe very early 2000s. The refrigerated produce section is along the back wall. That means we're looking at tighter corners, less space for people to go, and this warehouse feels small. But chicken areas, not too bad, solid average. What you're currently looking at is the face of someone who has no idea how much worse it's about to get. As I continued on that back wall, sure enough, there was the refrigerated produce section. This is where the older warehouses typically have it. And what that usually means is there's not going to be a refrigerated dairy section, but I'll double check on that when I get to the way back. By the way, this warehouse was opened in '01, so my spidey sense has not let me down yet. And here's quick confirmation that there is no dairy section in the way back, putting more crowds into those aisles. Hey y'all, coming at you from the back wall, my usual quiet sanctuary spot. It's not as quiet as usual here because, well, like I said, the warehouse is tighter. The walls are just closer together. There's less space for people to go. I'm noticing traffic jams along the back wall, sample people. Yeah, a lot of people with carts maneuvering in and out of here. Just a tighter space. Once I get out of the way back, I can start to see the beginning of the end for the Arvada warehouse. There's so little space here, and a huge portion of the warehouse is taken up by all that wine. We've got like produce mixed with bread in the middle here. By the way, I end up seeing more bread when I get down to the pharmacy area. This is the Costco equivalent of hitting the panic button. There is so much stuff and nowhere to put it, and it's leading to really frustrating traffic buildups and a very confusing layout. As I leave the middle section, I stumble upon one of the more egregious things I've ever seen at a Costco. Look at these pallets of chips. Like, look at where the physical pallets actually are. They're not inside those structures like they should be. They're actually pushing out into the aisleways where people are trying to navigate around with their carts. I've never seen that. I do notice those green price stickers above them. I'm really hoping that's temporary because that's pretty bad. So I came back into the middle of the store to check out the patio furniture area. That's pretty calm. I noticed a little buildup here, so I went to see what it was, and it was a line for checkout. It was spilling back into the middle of the store near the charcoal and kind of like the snacky type area here. That's, In search of a little quiet now, I tried to head toward the pharmacy area, but I run into another line. This time it's for self-checkout, and I kind of hit this merge zone where if I turn to the left, I'll get people trying to get in line for self-checkout, but behind me, they're lined up back where I would usually make my initial descent. So this isn't going to be fun getting out of here. Pharmacy area was nice. There were actually people waiting in line to pick up their prescriptions. I'm not about to record that though, so you just have to take my word for it. So I finally decide enough is enough and I'm going to head to the checkout. It's actually a little hard to figure out where to get in line. Like I showed you before, there's people kind of overflowing into the clothes and snack area for the traditional checkout. I actually think here you would want to go with self. I didn't see a ton of conveyor belts open, but there are 9 self-checkout stations. I'm used to only seeing 6, so that's 50% more than usual. I only saw 1 employee with a scanner gun. I really would have liked to see more, but I did see a dog. I think it's a Pomeranian. The food court has your standard offerings, nothing special here, but I really do have to give this warehouse credit for how they laid this out. I've seen so many crowded warehouses where the area you place your order for the food court is as soon as you exit the checkout area, so it leads to a lot of buildup, people bumping into each other. Here, they've kind of got the window to order around to the side, kind of where you'd start to walk out to get your receipt checked. I thought that was a really good idea, and I gotta give them credit where credit is due. Here's an alternate view of kind of how the food court ordering window is laid out. Really like it. And so as I head toward the exit door, there's not as big a crowd as I would have expected to get the receipt checked. I really can't explain that one. But we made it, y'all. Let's get out of here and recap this thing. Hey guys, Arvada, Colorado, but before we begin, I do have to make a couple corrections about that parking lot. There are multiple ways to exit, so getting out was definitely easier than getting in, and after I left and stopped recording, I did notice there is actually a secondary way to get into that parking lot. However, it's not the direction that most people are coming from. Most people are getting to that warehouse from I-70, and to access this kind of secret secondary entrance, you would have to make some awkward U-turn and jump through a few extra hoops. And honestly, I might do that because it puts you in a quieter part of the parking lot. But just being fair to it, there is technically a second way to get into that warehouse. All right, guys, but getting into the recap, honestly, those corrections about the parking lot are not going to influence my view of Arvada. It was pretty bad. I would not go back. There are a lot of warehouses in the Denver area. If it's all the same, I would try to avoid this one. Parking lot was crazy. Gas station sucked. I mean, that was among the worst that I've ever seen. And then inside the warehouse, just couldn't take the crowds, not built for the location. It's in a really convenient location, and that's actually what hurts it. The warehouse is so small, the space, the usage of space is extremely inefficient. That whole big section for wine causes like overflows in the entire rest of the warehouse, causes lines to back up. Like, it's the fact that it is so easy to access right off of I-70 is actually a downside for how many people go there. So really would not go back. Didn't really enjoy the experience at all. So Arvada is definitely one to avoid for me. But anyway, let's get to the one item that I picked up from there. I got the 6-pack of this like sweet and spicy tea. The wife loves this stuff, and actually, like, it's pretty good. Anyway, so Arvada, go somewhere else. See you guys on the next one. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this content, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And let me know in the comments, what do you think of the Arvada warehouse? And is there somewhere that you would like to see me go next?